They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds. This was their strategy. And now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
Somebody revealed a source that says he had quite an experience demanding his makeup artist show up or get fired. I'll share that story for you.
That's so gross and weird and manipulative, even if it's true. It's so just, this movie somehow was a magnet for awful people.
Reynolds, Ryan, went completely crazy after receiving. Criticized by Fox News for dismissing a makeup artist and demonstrating that he's equally pitiful, conceited, and domineering as Blake Lively.
And Ryan Reynolds, by all accounts, seems like a great guy. He is acting. By all accounts, he is a total pain in the ass.
They revealed his vile actions and put him in his proper place because, let's face it, this man is not authorized to fire employees, simply because to his inability to manage his rage.
He's one of those guys, so they are absolute bullies.
Reynolds, Ryan, the alleged Hollywood comedian, received. It turns out that Fox News is completely incinerated. This individual lacks the ability to be sarcastic. Deadpool is an idiot who acts like he's not. He is merely an insecure, power-hungry person. Control-hungry person who believes he owns Hollywood.
Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is. He's just a psycho. His number is psycho.
And if you believed that to be an exaggeration, allow me to present to you the moment he had a fit of rage and attempted to terminate a makeup artist's whole career because they were so bold as to be unable to participate in a reshoot. Yes, we are talking like a Hollywood autocrat. Meltdown over some powder and foundation.
Ryan Reynolds had to do some reshoots for the movie. His makeup artist was out of the country working. Ryan Reynolds threatened to fire the makeup artist off the rest of the film and the reshoots they had to do, and also said, if you don't come back and do my makeup for these reshoots, you will never work in Hollywood again.
This entire debacle resulted in Fox News Kennedy Saves the Light, a global podcast featuring an insider, disclosed by the studio that during the Deadpool 2 filming Ryan's personal, there was no makeup artist available because, they were out of the country, like a typical person who occasionally must work on other tasks.
No one knew who he was beforehand. Everyone knows who he is now. If he is a smart sociopath, he'll work that to his advantage.
But rather than I don't, I am aware that hiring any other makeup is a real possibility. Hollywood artists, as it's not, such as makeup artists, are a unique kind of. Ryan went crazy over mythological creatures, allegedly informed the artist that if you don't return, you won't ever work there. Hollywood once more.
Ryan used his nice pool character in Deadpool and Wolverine to mock Justin Baldoni.
I apologize. Is he a studio executive is now running for the 20th, who gave this man the authority, Century Fox, to remove a person from a whole industry regarding a scheduling conflict. The funniest thing about Fox executives was said to be irritated, although they had no decision but to obey, because to Reynolds had already seized complete authority over this dude was hurling a movie dangers to one's career over a small amount of. Imagine the level of contouring and powder, of selfishness and ego that consumes, and, to be honest, we shouldn't be shocked at all, as this is just how Ryan Reynolds works.
Blake Lively, her brand, Ryan Reynolds' brand, have totally been tarnished by this because the world now sees them for who they are. They cannot act their way out of this.
Later, Miller acknowledged that Ryan wanted complete authority, and I wasn't prepared to oppose each and every translation decision. Reynolds became an overgrown child who was unwilling to make concessions and threatened a real director out of his own film.
On Deadpool, where he said, let's do one more take. And everyone was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me.
Cathartic.
As if I'm weak.
And let's not. He treats his co-stars badly, so I believe that this man is only bothering cosmetics. Directors and artists reconsider. Aggressively disgrace and marginalize performers. If they are brave enough to contest his case in the lead, or Point Marina Beckerin, Deadpool actress who transitioned from playing all of Wade Wilson's love interest in the original film to be diminished in Deadpool 2 to an afterthought. Why? As it appears that she had a conflict with Reynolds on the set, and, to put it simply, Ryan Reynolds doesn't effectively resolve conflicts. Instead of taking care of it like an expert, he ensured that the marina was iced out of the press. Circumstances barred her entirely from promotional trips and excluded her from every premiere group photo. It seems as though she wasn't even in the seeing the red carpet in a movie events, but this is what Ryan, who is intoxicated, then does Reynolds pick fights? Eliminates anyone in his path, and it's not just the cast of Deadpool. TJ Miller, who appeared in Deadpool as Weasel, additionally stated that Ryan Reynolds was quite cruel to him on the scene, and not. This dude is a comedian, to put it lightheartedly. Yet even he was unable to mimic Ryan's. His actions were amusing. He simply acknowledged that he was strangely cruel to me, not simply being truly impolite as a joke.
So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
Imagine becoming so incredibly annoying that you're considered out of line, even among comedians. According to reports, Reynolds treated him like trash on set, mocking him in front of, reminded him of the crew, and that he was only a supporting figure, and not the star.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star, and this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable.
And Ryan's is what's wild. His problems with control are not even subtle. They have repeatedly been exposed. Even Deadpool takes Rebecca Ferguson, who had an awful encounter with a frustrated, insecure actor while filming a film that she hasn't yet named names, but let's actually make the connection. In a flash, the film was Life, 2017, and Ryan Reynolds, her co-stars, and Jake Gyllenhaal, and given that Jake remains, all eyes are on him as he goes about his business, are portraying Ryan as the irate young man she had to cope with.
I think I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable that I got screamed at. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back.
Ferguson stated, on set, she felt so uneasy that she, unwilling to deal with this individual personally. No more. Instead, she made a direct demand to move in the direction of a tennis ball rather than observing them. Picture yourself as that your own co-star is infuriating, won't even recognize your being on camera is a whole different level of poisonous, but it worsens after. Speaking up, Rebecca got calls from co-workers alerting her about her absence. Too far.
I remember the next day I walked on and I said, you get off my set. This is the first time I've ever spoken. I remember being so scared. Yes. And I looked at this person and I said, you can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again.
Gone too far. She simply spoke the facts concerning a terrible workplace, and people were now behaving as though treason was perpetrated in this way by Hollywood. Shields the worst individuals by silencing them, victims, and continue to support those in positions of power. Ryan Reynolds and other actors because they want to avoid upsetting anyone in the interim. Ryan is allowed to continue having tantrums and treating others as worthless without repercussions.
Any words for Ryan, seeing as the next time we talk to him, he will be seeing them.
I have nothing to say to him.
And let's not disregard Jake's situation. Ryan and Gyllenhaal used to be incredibly closely, doing interviews together to create jokes about best friends in Hollywood, huh? No longer when questioned about Reynolds. Jake recently stopped talking altogether, refused to speak, and instead gazed. Clearly annoyed, the interviewer attempted to shove him, and he answered icily, I have nothing that's not true about him. Normal friend behavior, that's someone who is done with your crap.
You know you have an ongoing feud with Ryan.
Who?
You know that guy. What's it gonna take for him to actually be BFFs with you?
Well, I mean, in truth, There was a time in which we were.
And honestly, who can blame? Him, it's becoming brutally evident that Ryan Reynolds is not the quirky, funny, lovely guy he claims to be. He's just another Hollywood film that is power-hungry, a narcissist with no patience at all, modesty, and a huge ego that nobody is permitted to contest.
Me and Gina encountered a rude celebrity once. We don't want to say who it is.
Each and every, only one who has collaborated with him. He has been described by those who dared to speak up as domineering, impolite, and uneasy from directors, co-stars, and makeup artists. The trend with his own ex-wives is, unquestionably, Ryan Reynolds is not the kindest person. Hollywood man, he's merely a bully who is self-centered and power-hungry and eventually become public.
And it's pretty obvious that he's not joking about not being friends with Ryan Reynolds anymore.
Jake. Ryan Reynolds and Gyllenhaal were once the most popular bromance in Hollywood, laughing, making inside jokes on talk shows, and they pretended to be TWPS in a pod. But then Life 2017 occurred, and all of a sudden, Gyllenhaal has no desire to interact with him, and by nothing, I mean zero interaction at all, recognition, and lack of enthusiasm for even acting as though they had ever been buddies. That degree of contempt isn't just occur because of a small argument. Something significant must have happened between them.
You see that Jake Gyllenhaal has also unfollowed Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and Blake Lively. But apparently he didn't unfollow them until they had already unfollowed him.
Jake. Gyllenhaal's response when questioned regarding Ryan Reynolds was utterly frigid. Rejection, his energy level decreased, altered, and he stated bluntly, I have not a word about him, not a lie, no jokes, just Hollywood friendliness. Outright rejection, and let's face it, Gyllenhaal is not a dramatist. This is the same celebrity who didn't say anything when Taylor Swift pulled him in a song for 10 full minutes, but he couldn't even pretend to be courteous to Ryan. The rumors all state the same thing in response. Reynolds is extremely envious and poisonous, and Gyllenhaal eventually noticed by pretending to be a good man.
I'm really bad at keeping a straight face around TJ Miller. Everyone knows that on our set. We lost days to me. Yeah.
And Ryan, if there's one thing, the thing Reynolds detests the most is not being the focal point. It's being criticized for lacking humor. Let's clarify everything for his whole. Sarcasm is the foundation of a profession, but isn't a character, and it's definitely. Isn't this dude a real comedian? He is a comic genius, but he's also a man who determined that if he says anything in the people will smirk and speak in a deadpan voice. Think he's humorous, but surprise. Those who collaborated with him aren't purchasing it. No longer.
So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star. But you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
TJ Miller, who truly understands what is humorously revealed. Reynolds didn't reveal who he truly is. Claim that Ryan is merely a playful prankster. Alternatively, he jokes too much and is straight. Ryan Reynolds ridicules up saying, individuals to degrade rather than to be humorous. They're being a comedian, not a patronizing jackass.
Strangers describe me as extremely disloyal.
And it continues. His ex-wife, Scarlett Johansson, was there, essentially criticized him for being the. Likewise, in their partnership, she referred to him as envious, passive-aggressive, and it is merely a courteous manner of saying unstable, domineering, intolerable, and considering that he was previously married. In order for Scarlett Johansson to promptly leaping into Blake's relationship, it doesn't take a genius to notice how lively, how his brittle little ego was unable to manage dating a woman whose profession was taking off and his was heading nowhere.
And then I think I don't know. I mean, would I work with him again? No.
No.
I would not work with him
that
again.
much vitriol.
And let's discuss the reality. Quentin Tarantino's is among the most reputable filmmakers in the field. Ryan Reynolds was completely enraged at his cash grabs by Netflix in an interview. Tarantino didn't merely disparage. Reynolds, whom he totally disregarded, missed. Over his career, Ryan Reynolds has produced. This film cost $50 million and $50. I have no idea how much money that movie cost. What are those films? Have you watched them? Translation: Ryan is producing Drek films. Things nobody genuinely gives a damn about.
Why is Ryan doing this? And the other weird thing is, like, maybe he got, I think he's kind of an insecure dude.
And right when you believed that to be the greatest insult art, Butler delivered the knockout punch in response to inquiries on Ryan Reynolds. Butler, the movie-free guy, didn't even act as though you were aware of what he was straight. I'm not sure what that is, upset. Don't watch his films. See yourself in Hollywood for decades for self-promotion, non-stop and publicly displaying important actors. Acknowledge that they don't even recognize your. If that isn't embarrassing, I don't work. Understand what?
The thing about myself I've learned to love is...
The thing about myself that I've learned to love is insecurity. That's a real answer. Yeah, insecurity. Yeah.
And you are aware that it isn't merely actors criticizing him. It's directors to the renowned Chris Columbus, the man who brought us home by himself. Then Harry Potter was publicly demolished. Reynolds' attempt to sabotage a masterpiece. Ryan believed the film would be fantastic. Notion to create a stoner-friendly adaptation of Home. It was indeed Alone called Stoned Alone. In fact, he pitched Chris on something. Columbus is a man who genuinely values. It's an insult to cinema, here marked. Must refrain from showing old films, and this is precisely the reason why so many Hollywood filmmakers and performers have ceased recognizing him completely. When was the last time you saw a reputable director cite their desire to collaborate with Ryan? When was the last time you saw a Reynolds, big star who isn't bound by a contract, compelled to publicly honor him? You don't. As the majority of Hollywood has already discovered what the world's other is only now beginning to understand Ryan. Reynolds is an egotistical, insecure dread who destroys bridges everywhere. He leaves.
Looks like the guy that fucked your high school girlfriend.
And, to be honest, even his supposed admirers are beginning to notice. Using his sardonic humor, which, charming, who formerly seemed clever, is now appearing to be cruel and wearing down his incessant demand for control. Each project he works on is beginning to appear less like artistic fervor and more, such as an intense desire for power, and his whole public persona of this kind man. Routine is disintegrating in front of our eyes.
Sometimes I don't even know what world I live in, to be quite honest. But here is Antonio Brown announcing that he is performing at Firefest. They really should call it Firefest 1 since the first one.
Now, Ryan Reynolds. Losing friends in Hollywood isn't the only thing. He is losing the public's goodwill. And when those who are left to protect die hard and PR firms pay you, you fake your Hollywood fanboys. At last, the empire is beginning to fall apart. Scarlett Johansson made a sincere effort to warn. Everyone came, but no one paid attention. Ryan just said it clean and simple. Reynolds is an insecure, jealous boss. Freak, and if you have any knowledge of, you are aware that Scarlett is not a fan of needless drama, however she stated when someone is jealously passive-aggressively. She wasn't only insecure, as evidenced by, she was making a generalization.
Discussing Ryan.
He literally just took his helmet off and walked off the field. He made $100 million playing football and he's dead broke now. So now he's a rapper and God bless him, it sucked.
The worst part is that he didn't simply walk away. He changed his name from Scarlett to Blake before the divorce was even finalized. Lively. To put it bluntly, Ryan met Blake on the Green Lantern film shoot while he was remaining wed, and by the time the divorce documents were dry, I wasted no time dating this man already, proceeding as though he had been lining Blake as a contingency throughout moment, and to be honest, it makes complete sense. Blake Lively is the ideal example of Woman a man like Ryan who is insecure and vulnerable. Reynolds would dash to once he was embarrassed by a real powerhouse such as. An A-lister was Scarlett Johansson. Blake, a well-known independent actress, was a CW celebrity attempting to enter the serious roles in Hollywood that you believe Ryan didn't. When you see that, you think, a woman at last. This dude was someone who wouldn't overshadow me. Unable to endure in a marriage where it's not the star, and he wasn't. Alanis Morissette, Scarlett's other ex, also criticized him for being envious. This man was engaged to an insecure mess. Alanis for 3 years before to his breakup with her. Unexpectedly, and following their breakup, Alanis went ahead and released a full album. Entanglement flavors influenced by their split, and among the most significant lines, if I simply state that I'm incredibly insecure and truly shattered, heartbroken, then I can get over it. Oh, the word insecure appears once more when a Hollywood celebrity is one of 2 ex-partners, with a Grammy-winning musician as the other. They both make the same statement about a man. Perhaps, just perhaps, he is the issue. And what are you aware of, Blake? Ryan left Lively, the ideal wife. Now, Scarlett is being pulled into his years-long PR disaster. Blake and Ryan have been engaging in this bothersome PR campaign in which they act as though they have the funniest, cutest, most ideal Hollywood marriages whenever they're due to one of them being in the news. Shared some incredibly painful and cruel forced. Make jokes about one another on Instagram, such as a few middle schoolers and individuals consumed it for years, but now individuals are beginning to see past it.
Forward on Sunday, when are you going to get rid of daylight savings?
Okay. So he says the clocks are springing forward on Sunday. Is that this weekend? Oh my, I'm excited for that. It's been kind of dreary. I guess that means we made it out of the worst of the winter.
You ready?
Because there isn't any real. A contented couple feels compelled to continuously demonstrate their affection for one another. And the reality that they always, only one of them experiences a controversy or negative press. Yes, that isn't normal. Meticulously estimated harm.
Command.
There is no question that, yes, Ryan Reynolds based his Deadpool Wolverine character, Nice Pool, with the man bun, on Justin Baldoni.
And we must not overlook the enormous. Blake's legal issues are the room's biggest obstacle. Fight with this woman, Justin Baldwini, has spent months in and out of court because of Hollywood's messiest litigation over the years, and now Fox News and insiders in Hollywood are pursuing Ryan. They aren't even being taken individually. As a power couple, they're down, independently collapsing.
You want to know something? He's not so funny in real life. Really? No, he's not so funny. He's very serious.
And let's face it, Blake Lively is used by Ryan Reynolds to mend his reputation following his unsuccessful marriage to Scarlett. Due of that ideal husband's behavior didn't begin until he was completely with Blake. Suddenly, he was the humorous spouse, with the Instagram and the adorable marriage jokes, almost as if he required an simpler and more manageable relationship to reestablish his reputation and now work in Hollywood. What happens to Blake when he turns on him? Since, let's face it, Blake Lively's never had a strong enough career to live independently. She has been riding the wave of their branding as a strong couple for years. But if Ryan's reputation deteriorates, what transpires with her, and don't make any mistakes, his reputation is deteriorating. Hollywood has formally ceased shielding him from Fox News of all sources, simply revealed him to be toxic, directing directors of terrifying horror films. Even his own ex-partners and co-stars have all expressed his irrational ego, power preoccupation, and his nastiness attitude. And the hilarious part is that he spent his entire professional life acting as. Everyone adored the humorous guy, and now the destruction of that persona is also occurring. Comedy is being reconsidered, and individuals are recognizing that he isn't truly funny. He is merely a mocking, insecure man of others to conceal his own shortcomings. And now actors from Hollywood are not cooperating with him. Directors are criticizing him for. Jake Gyllenhaal, best pal, won't even talk about him and his former partners who have been expressing the same idea for many years at. Ryan Reynolds and Blake at this point. Lively isn't the ideal couple in Hollywood. They are the largest PR swindle in Hollywood and, at last, the cracks are beginning to appear. The phony nice man act of Ryan Reynolds is. Hollywood is finally finished and it's falling apart. With his toxic behavior and egotism. For more Hollywood expos, subscribe. Jose, since the truth is always revealed.
Out.